when the witch had helped him inside. He took out the tinderbox and the candle stump, but the minute he struck fire and sparks leaped from the flint, the door flew open, and the dog that had seen inside the tree, the one with the eyes as big as 2 teacups, stood before him and said, "What is my master's command?" "What's this?" said the soldier. "What an amusing tinderbox! If I can wish for whatever I want, bring me some money," he said to the dog, and zip, he was gone. Zip, he was back, holding a big sack of skillings in his mouth. Now the soldier realized what a wonderful tinderbox it was. If he had struck it once, the dog who sat on the chest of copper coins came. If he struck it twice, the one with the silver coins came. And if he struck it 3 times, the one with the gold came. Now, the soldier moved back downstairs to the beautiful rooms, dressed in fine clothing, and all of his friends recognized him again, because they were so fond of him. One day, he thought, how odd that no one is allowed to see the princess. Everyone says she's supposed to be lovely. But what good is it if she's always kept inside the enormous copper palace with all the towers? Couldn't I possibly have a look at her? Where's my tinderbox? And then he struck fire, and zip, the dog with eyes as big as teacups appeared. "I know it's in the middle of the night," said the soldier, "but I have such a great desire to see the princess, if only for a moment." The dog was out the door once, and before the soldier knew it, he was back with the princess. She was sitting on the dog's back, asleep, and she was so lovely that anyone could see she was a real princess. The soldier couldn't resist. He had to kiss her because he was a real soldier. Then the dog ran back with the princess, but when the morning came, the king and the queen were pouring their tea. The princess said she had a strange dream in the night about a dog and a soldier. She was riding on the dog's back, and the soldier had kissed her. "That's a certainly fine story," said the queen. One of the old ladies in waiting was ordered to keep watch at the bedside of the princess on the following night, to see if it was really a dream, or what else it might be. The soldier was longing terribly to see the lovely princess once more, so the dog appeared in the night, picked her up, and ran as fast as he could. But the old lady in waiting put on her wading boots and ran just as swiftly right behind. When she saw them disappear inside a large building, she thought to herself, "Now I know where it is," and with a piece of chalk she drew a big cross on the door. Then she returned home and went to bed. And the dog came back too, bringing the princess. When he saw that the cross had been drawn on the door where the soldier lived, he took another piece of chalk and put a cross on all the doors in the city. That was a clever thing to do, because now the lady in waiting wouldn't be able to find the right door, since there were crosses on all of them. Early the next morning, the king and the queen, the old lady in waiting, and all the officers went out to see where the princess had been. "There it is," said the king when he saw the first door with a cross on it. "No, it's over there, my dear husband," said the queen, who saw another door with a cross on it. "But there's one there, and one there," they all said. Wherever they looked, there was a cross on every door. And then they realized it was no use to go on searching. But the queen was a very clever woman who was capable of more than just riding around in a coach. She took her big golden scissors, cut a large piece of silk into pieces, and then stitched together a charming little pouch. When she filled it with fine grass of buckwheat, she tied it to the back of the princess, and when that was done, she cut a tiny hole in the pouch so the grains would sprinkle out whenever the princess went. That night the dog appeared once again, put the princess on his back, and ran off with her to the soldier, who loved her so much and wanted dearly to be a prince so that he could make her his wife. The dog didn't notice the grain sprinkling out all the way from the palace to the soldier's window. as he ran along the wall carrying the princess. In the morning, the king and the queen could see quite well where their daughter had been, and they seized the soldier and threw him into jail. And there he sat. Oh, how dark and dreary it was. When they told him, "Tomorrow you will hang," that was not a pleasant thing to hear, and he had left his tinderbox behind at the inn. In the morning he could see through the iron bars on the little window that people were hurrying to the outskirts of the town to watch him hang. He heard the drums and saw the marching soldiers. Everyone was in a great rush, including the shoemaker's apprentice, wearing a leather apron and slippers. He was moving along in such a gallop that one of his slippers flew off and struck the wall right where the soldier was sitting, peering out through the iron bars. "Hey, shoemaker's apprentice, you don't have to be in such a rush," said the soldier. "Nothing's going to happen until I get there. But if you run over to the place where I was staying and bring me my tinderbox, I'll give you 4 skillings. But you have to be quick about it." The shoemaker's apprentice wanted those 4 skillings, so he raced off to get the tinderbox, brought it to the soldier, and, well, let's hear what happened. Outside the city, a huge gallows had been built, and around it stood the soldiers and many hundreds of thousands of people. The king and queen sat on a lovely throne across from the judge and the entire council. The soldier was already standing on the ladder, but as they were about to pull the rope around his neck, he said that before a sinner faced his punishment, he always allowed one harmless request. He dearly wanted to smoke a pipe of tobacco. It would be the last pipe he had in this world. Now, that was not something the king could refuse, and so the soldier took out his tinderbox, struck fire, 1, 2, 3, and there stood all 3 dogs, one with eyes as big as teacups, the one with eyes like mill wheels, and the one with eyes as big as the round tower. Help me now so I won't be hanged," said the soldier, and the dogs rushed at the judge and the entire council, seizing one by the leg and one by the nose, and flinging them high into the air so they fell back down, and they were crushed to bits. "Not me," said the king, but the biggest dog seized both him and the queen and tossed them after the others. Then the soldiers were afraid, and all the people shouted, "Little soldier, you shall be our king and wed the lovely princess." They put the soldier in the king's coach, and all 3 dogs danced before it, shouting, "Hurrah, hurrah, hurrah!" The boys whistled through their fingers, and the soldiers presented arms. The princess came out of her copper palace and became queen, and that certainly pleased her. The wedding celebration lasted for a week, and the dog sat at the table too, making big eyes.